Gentlemen, start your egos. It's out!
Hey, I'm Nat.
I'm Jenny.
And this is Oscar Bait. Big news this week, the shortlist for Best Documentary Feature was just dropped.
It's quite a good year for music.
Yeah, Amy, the Amy Winehouse documentary, is one of the 15 films on the shortlist, and so is a film called What Happened, Miss Simone, which is an archive footage sort of film about the life of Nina Simone, which is also a Netflix production.
Which is interesting. They're just becoming a big giant. They're trying to take over Weinstein's spot, maybe.
It would be pretty cool to see the Weinstein unthroned, but we'll have to wait and see. If you missed our review of Beasts of No Nation, the Netflix fiction feature, you should head over and watch that now.
Also on the nomination list for Best Feature Documentary is Hinemi Malala, and also The Look of Silence, which is done by Joshua Oppenheimer, who did The Act of Killing a couple of years ago.
Yep, all about sort of the Indonesian genocide of yesteryear. It seems like he's making it into a bit of a series, which is quite interesting. Should we get to the review?
Yes, we should. This week's review is...
Myrtle Dunnage. You grew up.
You got old. Myrtle Dunnage is back.
Haven't seen her since she was a kid. Wonder how she turned out.
I reckon you can make some bloke pretty happy.
The Dressmaker is based on a book by Rosalie Ham that I had to study in Year 11 literature. That's my copy. It's still got tabs in it. It's a gothic black comedy all about Myrtle Dunnage, who returns to her crappy little hometown Dungatar, named so because it's basically a pile of dung, to the awful, awful people that lived there and drove her out. She returns after a long time away overseas to look after her ailing mother. She comes back to this little town to try and uncover the truth about herself and what happened when she was just in primary school. Jenny, what did you think of this one?
I really quite liked The Dressmaker. It's sort of a very beautiful film. Obviously, we're Australian, surprise. And so I really love the Australian landscape. So I really loved the cinematography and the imagery of this movie. And it was really well put together with amazing performances from Kate Winslet and Judy Davis. Actually, most of the actors were great. There were moments where I thought personally it was a bit too broad in its comedy, which I don't want to say is an Australian problem, but I'm starting to worry that maybe it is. But apart from that, I really thought it was quite solid and a beautifully female-led story.
It's so refreshing to see a story led by a woman whose superpower, I guess, is dressmaking.
Yeah.
She's a seamstress who's trained in Paris, and she comes back and becomes the most popular person in town, even though they all resent her because she can make them beautiful. It's a really twisted movie. Like, it's just pretty messed up, but it's still got kind of this little joy and this little spark in the center of it.
And Judy Davis, hands down, is probably my favorite part of this movie because she was just a bundle of joy. She wasn't joy. Her character wasn't joyful, but she just made me so happy.
It made her look so awful.
Oh, so good. And it would have been so fun to be in that role. I loved it.
She has a lot of fun with it. There's so much chewing the scenery in this, but just joyfully so. Like, no one's too overdone, but everyone gets quite into it. But except Kate Winslet, whose performance is just so controlled,
grounded,
despite being around all these insane weirdos.
It's so wonderful though. Well, let's talk about Oscar chances then.
I think, unfortunately, the Academy has not got a great track record with accepting foreign English language film. I don't think it's in the same... I don't think it's in contention really in a lot of ways because it just isn't quite as good as general Oscar contenders should be.
It doesn't have any cut through.
But I am going to give it 2 Merrills because I think it has a pretty strong chance, again, should it actually get noticed, I think it has a pretty strong chance for, you guessed it, costume design.
Well, it is called The Dressmaker. I'm actually going to go one up and say 3.5 Merrills for costume because honestly, yeah, it's called The Dressmaker and this whole movie is defined by how well the dresses look on these characters, and they did a bang up job. It was done by Marion Boyce, who hasn't done many like big pictures, but she did actually have a costume exhibition for her TV show, Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries, which is a local Australian program. So I think she could get a nomination for this.
So you have this space for a really great little film where the costumes are a character.
Totally true.
And they truly are. Like, these costumes, they make the film. They're plot points in the film. And that's such a triumph that the costumes were able to make these moments that are so powerful in the movie. What did you think of The Dressmaker? You can leave a comment below. And you should click and subscribe and give us a like. And we'll catch you next week.
See you then. The costumes were a character. The location was a character for me as well, but I just like the bush, so...
If only there was a Oscar for location managing.
Don't get your hopes up, location managers. Sorry.
Reversal.
He's the manic pixie dream boy.
He's the boy next door.
I want to say he's the manic pixie dream boy because she's the one with problems and flaws, and he's there to sort of fix her.
Yeah,
it's the fixing.
He's
part.
so wholesome. It's very cute.